Thank you so much, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. Yes, we do business for just about 30 minutes, and then we head back to that Sunrise Daily conversation. And it's good there that Mark and Kayla, as well as Ayu, are talking about putting an eye on the states in this season of budgets. Because, of course, they are closer to the grassroots. Now, let's start from the global space, telling you that oil prices fell in early trade on Friday on worries about demand growth in 2025, especially in top crude importer China, putting global oil benchmarks on track to end the week down more than 2%. For this morning, we see red is what we have, 0.43% for Brent at $72.57 a barrel, while WTI has gone below $70 now, 0.26% down, $69.12 a barrel. Chinese state-owned refiner Sinopec, they're saying that in its annual energy outlook they released on Thursday that China's import could peak as soon as 2025, and the country's oil consumption would peak by 2027 as diesel and gasoline demand weaken. Now, dollars climbed to a two-year high, also weighed on oil prices after the Federal Reserve flags that it would be cautious about cutting interest rates next year, 2025. And now we come home to the Naira and see how that fared yesterday. We saw some green numbers coming from that space. The NAFEX appreciated, gained 4 Naira 2 kobo to close at 1,551 Naira 43 kobo. Similarly, NFEM rate gained 1 Naira 45 kobo, settling at 1,537 Naira 43 kobo. The NFEM market experienced increased activity driven by improved supply, which contributed to the CBN closing rates appreciating by 1,540 Naira. So we notice now that there's also reports on CBN closing rates. Because we know what the market is now, the new platform, IFEM, which CBN constantly intervenes through into the market. But there are some not so good about that now. Still coming from the central bank, Nigerian businesses have projected further depreciation of the Naira within the current month. And this according to the November Business Expectation Survey by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Further analysis of the report shows that businesses expect the Naira to depreciate in January and the next 3 months next year, but appreciate after that 6 months into 2025. At the same time, the report mentions that firms are pessimistic about the outlook on the volume of business activities, financial conditions, access to credits, volume of total order, and average capacity utilization. However, the overall confidence index on the macroeconomy, as well as volume of business activity, respondents are given on the volume of business activity for next month and subsequent periods under review, indicate that businesses were optimistic for the next month and subsequent period. Now, a subsidiary of Nigeria's oldest bank, First Nominees Limited, has now been registered as Nigeria's first nominee company in the capital market with effect from November 22, 2024. This registration makes First Nominees the first non-pension assets custodian in Nigeria to be recognized and registered by the Securities and Exchange Commission among the current 11 market players. The achievement is set to strengthen First Bank's regulatory engagement and expand the scope of its custody business to the benefit of its clients. Licensed by the Central Bank and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, First Nominees is now a full-fledged capital markets operator. Well, let's stay in the private sector now as the year winds down, the festivities just around the corner. Let's see how businesses have fared in 2024 through the eye of participants in the market. So now I will invite into the studio Mr. Issa Kombi. He's the president, Association of Nigeria Tire Marketers at Africa Tire Village at Lagos International Trade Fair. Mr. Kombi, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Compliments of the season.
Wish you same.
So for you as a business person, how would you describe the year 2024?
Well, challenging. Challenging, we thank God that we are still surviving, but it was challenging.
We see from the Central Bank of Nigeria a survey that you business people are expecting this month and next month to be good. After that, there's a bit of fear of what could happen in 2025. So when you build on how the year is ending, let's talk about, you're into the tires.
Yeah.
Demand, prices, hitches around, imports, and all of that. What do you see and what do you expect?
Well, as for the past years, like I said, it has been challenging because of the unfriendly policies that have been coming from the government side. Tires importation have been very, very difficult, and it's unfortunate that it goes back to the users because whatever is done about clearing or whatever, it is channeled back to the importation, and we're in business to make profit. As I'm talking now, to clear 140 feet container, you will need 12 million naira. The charges are too much, 20% with 5% VAT. So that is making it difficult for us, but we expect it to be better in the coming year.
I just want for you to explain better when you say unfriendly policies.
Yeah.
Which of those policies?
Yeah, like the tariff with the duties you pay on importation. Tires especially, like I just said, 20% with 5% VAT, even though all of us pay our VAT as we sell, but still we need to pay VAT when we are clearing our goods. And like I said, you need 12 billion naira, 12 good million naira to clear 140 feet container. These are policies that are being made free with people that just sit in the comfort of their offices without consulting the stakeholders. And this goes back to Nigerians that are using the tire. That is why we selling tires know that good tires and new tires are very expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the better one would be if we had locally produced tires.
Very good.
So what's stopping us?
That is the problem. That is the point, and we have been shouting on this for long. The permanent solution we will have to this is local production of tires. We had Michelin and Dunlop those years. They have relocated. Their complaint was majorly power. So if this is stable and they are brought back to the country, and even we can even encourage the foreign tire manufacturers representative in Nigeria to come and establish tire manufacturing plant in Nigeria, it will create more jobs, and we have tires at a very low and affordable prices and with very good qualities. So
do we have to wait for those multinationals to come into our country? Isn't it possible for Nigerian companies to engage in manufacturing of tires?
It is with good support from the government.
What kind of support?
Like just make the whole thing just surrounding the manufacturing, just make it very easier for them. Support, funding, and all this protocol they need to go through should be made here. The ease way of doing business should be encouraged on this matter.
So, because, I mean, we hear our government, they talk a whole lot about the ease of doing business and all of that.
Yeah.
And yes, even when you talk about taxes, taxes are supposed to be
That's another thing.
Yeah, they're supposed to be used for development of infrastructure, which is supposed to go back to make business, doing business easier. So I guess you see this as a necessary cycle that we have to start at this time.
Of course, I think the government needs to still have a lot to do on this matter, because I believe the local manufacturers are willing and are ready to go into local production of tires. Even we as marketers, we have said severally that we are ready to partner with anyone, anybody that is ready to manufacture tire locally. But government needs to do a lot in making this one possible.
Because, I mean, the government is talking about not just tires, but making the whole car in Nigeria. I think some funds have been allocated for that. So one would have thought that perhaps looking at the parts, might be easier to start with than, looking at the whole
It's
tire.
not as easy as you think. Not as easy as you think, because if you talk to manufacturer, they have a lot to say. And we as marketers, we talk to them too. We encourage them to do this so that Nigerians can have access to affordable and quality tires. But their complaint is always that government needs to do more.
Well, everybody wants government to do more, but I guess the private sector will also have to wake up, because the government has a whole lot to do. We have different sectors to take care of. People say face human resources first, health, education, and all of that before we can now move into some of this.
But the point is that governments have to be ready. Because as the private investors, they are in business to make money, and they'll be ready always to, venture into the business that can fetch them money. But they still need government one way or the other. That is why we always say government should please do more in supporting this.
So government supports would come in funding or in policies?
Yes, in funding. And if we look at the rate in commercial banks now, too high for business to
everything
prosper.
Is connected, because the rate that we see is because the government is also trying to bring down inflation, So, banks cannot operate on their own.
Well,
they have to work with the CBN's regulation, which is how they bring down the interest rate for calming of inflation. So, I wonder which one we should do first.
Well, the point is that we are businessmen, and we talk about ourselves more, and most of the time we think of what we do with our money and the returns we get. And so what we think about, whatever they can do, they should do to make the interest rate friendly.
So I guess with this high cost of tires and all that, more Nigerians will be taking risks. This is a travel period. People will see something wrong. They're supposed to change a tire. They'll be like, well, let me just manage because of how expensive tires are.
No, they shouldn't manage.
Yeah, they shouldn't manage, but if they don't have the money, are you going to give it to them for free?
No, the issue is that if you have a reliable source through which you are getting your tire, there are ways you can do it. You see, in our market, we have a platform for our customers that if you know you are a steady customer with us, there are ways we do it with you, that you can get your tire and be paying us as. See, there was a time we were working with SON and the FRSC to see if a bank can partner with us so that a user can go to the bank and just get a paper to get a tire from us. The bank will be responsible for the payment, while the user will be paying back the bank. But it didn't work. But with now interest, we can do it.
With interest, those things will have a high rate of interest, which will make it even more expensive.
Yeah, but the point is that you are not paying at once. It's not a down payment, so it is one way or the other. So and the choice is yours. See, if you want to buy it and pay downright, no problem. But if you want to just pay as you go, as we say, no problem. We are also in business to make money. And while our tire usage, we are running it, our money is working.
All right, so what do you see for 2025? President Bola Tinubu has said that the pains that we feel now, they are necessary for the benefit of tomorrow. And, that we should stay optimistic. Are you optimistic that 2025 will not be as challenging as 2024?
I am very, very optimistic. Very, very optimistic. Because with the budget here, the president has read, and with the little knowledge I have about that, I think the budget is a budget of hope for all Nigerians. And I think 2025 will be better, inshallah, for everybody.
What are some steps that you think, maybe one or two, not so elaborate, that you think the government could start doing now to make 2025 even, not as challenging as 2024?
I think they should begin to address the necessary things that affect the common man. They should begin to address them. The food is very important. Transportation, very important. If they can begin to do that and see how those things are becoming more easier for Nigerians, I think we have more hope that at least we are looking ahead for a better hope in 2025.
All right, we certainly hope that they will do that. Mr. Akombi, thank you so much for your time and your views on the program. President, Association of Nigeria Tire Marketers at the Lagos International Trade Fair. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Compliments of the season again.
You too. All right, now away from that, stakeholders in Nigeria's agricultural sector advocating for enhanced public-private partnership to develop sustainable digital agricultural extension services. And it's aimed at empowering smallholder farmers and boosting food productivity. The call for collaboration was highlighted during a conference in Lagos organized by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the African Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services.
focus on soil health.
The stakeholder strategic meeting brought together key players from the public, private and development sectors to explore collaborative pathways aimed at transforming the agricultural landscape in Nigeria. The event underscored the urgent need to establish strong public-private partnerships for sustainable digital agriculture extension services.
You might have good soils, you might have good seeds, you might actually have access to markets on the other hand. You might have cross-cutting, a cross-cutting climate play, but if you do not have advisory and extension systems that are effective, that are accessible to the people that need it, then all of your research and innovation goes to waste.
Develop so-called
presentations from various experts provided valuable insights and validated findings that will inform a proposed public-private partnership extension service model. This model aims to tackle pressing challenges in the agricultural sector, increase productivity, improve market access, and foster self-sufficiency among farmers. One of the challenges of extension delivery systems is the ratio of extension agents to farmers.
Human interaction does not scale if one extension officer has to serve a few hundred or thousands of farmers. So the issue is really if we can provide digital services that are fully automated, and that's exactly the value proposition of artificial intelligence, because it's generating text and voice output that can be utilized for advisory.
You are talking of let's say extension advisors who are private sector, but they are input dealers who get money out of input, but they provide bundle services to other, let's say in digitalization and other areas as well.
Over the course of 2 days, participants engaged in thought-provoking discussions. The focus remained on developing collaborative solutions that are not only sustainable, but also scalable.
Digitalization has almost come into every facet of our lives, including agricultural extension. And there have been so many proliferation of apps and ICT components in agricultural extension. But essentially, the government needs to take a place in working policies and strategies to ensure we have a seamless system.
Organizers hope that the insights gained from this meeting will play a crucial role in shaping future strategies to support smallholder farmers and enhance food security in Nigeria.
So we're still staying on reviewing the economy in 2024 through the eye of the private sector. We have another participant in the private sector now, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Coleman Wires and Cables, Mr. George Onofuoco. Mr. Onofuoco, good morning and compliments of the season.
Good morning, Ine. Compliments of the season to you and compliments of the season to Nigerians as a whole.
Yeah. So how would you describe the year 2024?
The year 2024, to me, from the manufacturer's perspective, has been one of turbulence to the point of believing we get into stability. So we have a turbulent beginning of the year, which was coming from the end of the year of 2023. And I think for now, we could say we've had a bit of a mixed match between a stable situation, between having a forex that has been consistently at a certain level, that has been manageable. But irrespective, the major word would have been turbulence.
So, okay, so that's it for 2024. But have we started the journey to stability and out of this turbulence?
I mean, in fairness, we might say yes, we have. We're in the right direction to stability. The inconsistencies in policies, in the direction of the economy, has now metamorphosed into a bit more consistency in policy drive, and both on the macro and on the micro. And we're seeing a convergence of both, which we did not see at the beginning of the year. And those convergence is what is resulting in the last quarter of the year, or last 2 quarters of the year, third quarter, fourth quarter, into a bit of the word stability. And I think those are the watchword that everybody really wants to talk about now going forward into 2025. So the key criteria was what for every manufacturer was looking for the word stability, because with a bit of stable situation in the economy, taking the FX, taking policy, for any manufacturer, it is easier for you to make certain strategic planning decisions. And when you cannot, it becomes a bad to worse scenario for most manufacturers in the country.
Yeah, well, I agree with you talking about stability, because, I mean, a lot of investors, the issue of policy inconsistency, policy somersault, whichever way you want to say it, has been a problem. But are you confident now that perhaps we have gotten to a level of consistency? But of course, especially foreign investors will have to wait for a bit to ensure that we are really on a stable ground.
For me, we're definitely on a stable ground. I'm for one that being a big believer, especially, and I've said it on your show, that look, I'm holding the Naira. So that means they've done something right if you're holding the Naira today. And I only appreciate the Naira being stronger over time. Now, the reality is that there's been a bit of stability, inconsistency, of the inconsistent mismatches we were having. But now you've got the window has been opened, the Bloomberg window got open, which actually started, and you can see what happened to the FX scenario. And we've seen a lot more transparency in the FX window. Going forward, I think the stability that everybody wants is a bit more consistency, staying the course. Which would be that you're looking at duty rates for the customs coming down, reflecting the current scenario that we see with the market that's trading around 1,500, and we expect that to actually happen. I'm still not a big believer that the central bank window should be determining the actual window in terms of custom. That I think still needs to go, because it should be a fiscal policy issue that affects every manufacturer in this country. And that should not be something that should be determined purely by the total window of a free market. And secondly, in terms of going forward into 2025, I think the key fear for everybody is that things don't go back as 2023 or the beginning of the year of 2024, is things remaining stable. I see that my own view is that we will get a stable 2025. Yes, would it be an astronomical growth? No. Would there be any exceptional differentials between 2024 and 2025? I don't see it. I see a similar scenario, but a more stable scenario in 2025. So the course really for 2025 for anybody, as I would advise, is reduce your risk, stabilize your systems, and just watch. But irrespective, the market will still be stable. We have a lot of things in our advantage now. We're moving away from an import petroleum product dependent country to literally a country that is going to be net positive of its import to export of petroleum products, and most likely by 2026 be a major exporter of petroleum products. And that should see a flip side into our forex scenario and our trade balance. And that should see a stronger Naira towards 2026. And that to me, would allow the market, especially the manufacturers, to foresee a better future. I disagree with a lot of companies that are leaving, but I think what you're going to have by 2026 is everybody coming back in anyway. And with the stability, and I think with the investment plan that everybody see, I see a positive 2026, a stable 2025.
What about in the area of infrastructure, power, transport, logistics, which have been major hitches to growth of businesses? What do you see in those areas?
I think infrastructure spend still needs to be a lot more. There's no country that can work without proper road networks, proper logistic networks. The key thing to any business is the movement of the material, distributive or productive. You need to be able to move the materials across the country and across your logistics of your raw materials coming to you. So those are key factors that I think the government needs to continue to focus on in creating the infrastructure for enabling those businesses to move around. Those are facts. Secondly, the issue of power. The power situation, unfortunately, is abysmal, terrible, not great, but it needs a lot of improvement. The investment has been ruggedly done over the years. It's very wrong for us to quickly blame the current scenario on the current government because I don't see any infrastructure resolution happening within a year or two. It doesn't happen. Power is not something you solve that quickly. Now, it takes years of solutions, of consistent strategy to actually solve power. I think now that the focus is on trying to solve the power scenario with the national grid, with removal of subsidies, should put a lot of investment into power. But the only thing I want the government to focus on power is because it's to create a supply chain in the country. Because you see, you're going to spend billions of dollars on power, but I don't see the reason why we should be focusing on not localizing the contents of power. Because the more you can keep in the money that you're spending and recirculate the money within your economy, the more you grow your economy. So when you have any deficiency in infrastructure, the focus of that infrastructure solution should be localized, which means creating jobs locally, creating the supply chain locally, as much as you can. It's not possible for us to do that all overnight. So let's not live in Clankuku land yet. But we need to enable the ministries and the agencies to focus on localized solutions. So as you spend billions of dollars on power, you're simultaneously actually solving some SME-related, medium-scale, large-scale related infrastructure and manufacturing deficiencies that you have. But power would always be 40% cost to every manufacturer in Nigeria and above, but it's something we need to continue reviewing. One critical part, I think, of power which the government, I think, needs to instantly review is the cost to gas for all manufacturers. That thing has been going on for years. I think they did some concessionary gas power for the textile industry about eight years ago. It was supposed to be a general concession. I still do not understand why anybody in Nigeria is paying $8 per thousand for gas to power when the investment is being done by that industry. We need to, same way we've gone with embedded power costs for those generating power at $2, between $2 and $3. I think now is the time to get the manufacturers to enjoy the same benefits if they want a stable 2025. Because if you don't get the cost of power down for every manufacturer in Nigeria instantaneously as a policy, you're still looking at the problem. And that, to me, because most of the plants or factories in Nigeria have already invested in embedded power. So how do you guarantee they create more jobs, employ more people, drive down the cost of that 40% of that power by giving them that $8 discount back to where the other embedded power cost is, between $2 to $3, and then allow them to grow their business? You don't need government in business. You need the policy of government driving private sector business, creating the jobs in the economy.
All right, Mr. Onofo, we're out of time, but trust you always have great ideas. I think the fact that we can expect stability in 2025, but I mean, that's nagging issue of power and how much is being paid for gas. Those are conversations that we'll certainly pursue in the coming days. But thank you so much, Chief Executive Officer of Coleman Wires and Cables, Mr. George Onofo.
Thank you, Ine. Thank you for having me.
All right, so just before we head back, the Santa is still on the floor of the NGX. Yesterday, the market was on fire. Might be too late for you to hop in, but You know, you can just watch and maybe you'll get a window. I'll hand you back to Sunrise Daily, but I'll be back at 1 p.m. We'll give you intraday numbers and 55 minutes of business is what's waiting for you at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated. Back to the Sunrise Daily team.